Welcome to the woods. It's been a cold week. -6 in the evening. -2 during the day. Plenty of chopping wood, plenty of fires. Keeping warm. Ignore the dogs in the background. I wanted to have a chat about people. Different types of people. I spent some time yesterday with a mate of mine. Great guy. Lives a normal life. In a normal flat. Does a normal job. Normal Norman. That's not his real name. Gets up in the morning, goes to work, or he would do usually, not at the moment, obviously. Government locked him down in his house, same as everyone else. Comes home in the evening, has his tea, watches Netflix, puts the news on, reads a newspaper, lives his life. Lovely. Not really a care in the world. He earns his money, pops down the pub at the weekend with his mates. Lives his life within the guidelines set out for society. And is happy that way. No need to look any further. Doesn't have a desire to look any further. Why would he? Why would he? He might have a moan about the government, although he doesn't really understand politics in depth. But he's not going to step outside those guidelines, those fences set down for society. He'll live his life happily within them. And then you've got another type of person who has recognised that some things aren't right. And recently, over the last year, there's a lot more people recognising that things aren't right. People on the left, and people on the right, and people straight down the middle, are noticing that lies are being told. They're thinking about looking over the fence, stepping outside of those guidelines in order to find answers as to why things aren't quite right. And that's quite a scary position to be in. Because if you start looking over that fence, you can't take away what you see. And what you see might be answers to the problems, to those things that aren't quite right. And those answers might go against everything that you've been told within those guidelines for society. So do you stay like normal Norman and live a happy life, fenced in by those guidelines? Or do you look over the fence? Do you try and find answers? Because if you look over, and if like some others you climb over, you're going to find yourself in a position that's probably going to make you angry to start with. Some of you would have seen a recent video by a friend of mine called Josh. Great guy. who a few years ago would have been much the same as normal Norman. He lived a normal life, did his job, came home in the evening, kissed his wife, had his tea, watched a bit of telly, did some keep fit, tinkered in his workshop. Normal life. But when he noticed that there were problems, when he noticed that things weren't quite right, he looked over the fence. He tried to find answers. And the answers he found went against everything within the guidelines set down for society. And much the same as most people, if you find out that you've been lied to, that what you've been told is untrue, it makes you angry. Now, Josh is going to march 350 miles from the south coast to Hadrian's Wall and plant a flag, as he said, as a distress signal to let people know that things aren't right, but also as a message to those people who are thinking of looking over that fence, to let them know that they're not alone. It can be scary. And you can't unsee what you're going to find. But you're not alone. Now, for those of you who haven't seen Josh's video, I'm going to put a link in the description. Check it out. From normal Norman to the person who's noticed that things aren't quite right, but is a little scared of looking for answers, to the person who's willing to do what most people are not willing to do, three different types of people. You probably know all three. So help the ones you can. Don't be derogatory to the people that don't want to know, that have no desire to look over that fence. That's not a bad thing. They're living a normal life and they're happy living it. So allow them to do that. But for those inquisitive ones, for the ones just about to look over, give them a leg up. Help them. Support Josh. I'll speak to you soon, people.